It's the final day at the CPAC convention right outside of Washington that we've already seen an hour and 15-minute off-the-cuff speech by President Trump. And in it was a very stern defense of individual freedoms and the Second Amendment. Now, fresh off of his panel discussion, it's Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts. Governor, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Ebony. Thanks for having me on today.
Awesome. So going back to really the national response, which understandably has really fallen along political lines here, to the horrific school shooting in Florida. Let me tell you what former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has said on the issue, and I want your reaction. Condoleezza Rice said that the U.S. needs to have a conversation about what the Second Amendment means in the modern world. So, Governor, I know that you are a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. It's a constitutional right, no doubt. But is it time that we revisit what it means in this current climate?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that our thoughts and prayers are with the families who've experienced, as a parent, I can only imagine how terrible the devastation is for these families with the loss of their young people. And, you know, obviously this is something that has been with us for a while. And when it comes to how do we prevent tragedies like this, taking away Second Amendment rights is really not the answer. I mean, look, the people who commit these crimes are obviously very disturbed. Obviously, there was more information that's got to come around about this particular incident. But when we look at, for example, how background checks are conducted and how we try to flag and prevent people who are disturbed from getting these guns,
I want to stop you because I think you're making a very important point. Or when you bring up background checks or other safeguards, if you will, when it comes to preventing these tragedies from happening, like what happened in Newtown, like what happened in Columbine, and certainly what happened in Parkland, Florida. So going back to my question about what former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice said is a reckoning, if you will, a time where we need to have a national dialogue around Second Amendment rights in this modern world. What is your position on that? Is it time for a revisit, if you will, to what the Second Amendment means today?
No, the Second Amendment doesn't need to be changed, or our understanding of it need to be changed. It's a very important part of our rights. It's also a part of how we secure our own liberties. I think what we have to do if we're trying to address these issues and prevent these kind of tragedies is we have to look at what are the laws we have in place right now that are not working. We know, for example, there were failures in law enforcement here. We know that, for example, when it comes to background checks, we can do more. The President's called for that. I think those are the solutions for how we prevent these tragedies. That's what we're really trying to do, is prevent more tragedies like these in the future, not restrict our rights that are in our Constitution.
Certainly, and respectfully, Governor, I think you did a pretty good job there of talking about just the kind of dialogue that would be certainly warranted and championed by Condoleezza Rice. But now we want to pivot to infrastructure, because I know certainly your state has really led the way around this issue, and you're looking forward to working with President Trump very soon on his plan around infrastructure. Tell me what you think Nebraska has done under your leadership that you'd like to see the president replicate at the national level.
Well, we, a couple of years ago, passed the Transportation Innovation Act to be able to finish our expressway system and invest about $450 million in our roads and bridges and so forth. Part of that program was actually a county bridge program where we help out counties with additional dollars to help fix their infrastructure, but we're requiring them to do innovative things to be able to get the grant money, and it's a match program. So, for example, if you replace a bridge with, say, a culvert that's going to be less expensive to build and will last longer, that's going to rank higher in your ability to get that grant dollars. And I believe this is what President Trump wants to accomplish with his transportation bill, really reward states for being innovative and having them put some money into the program to be able to help share in the cost. Obviously, we're doing that already in Nebraska, so I think mirroring some of what we're doing at the national, or in our state at the national level, would be a great way to help build infrastructure in our country.
Well, Governor, I know that you pretty much ran straight from the CPAC panel you were on just now to our camera to join us with this latest information. So we want to thank you for your time and thank you for making the effort. Thank you, Governor.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having me on. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You too.